The night was heavy with silence. The stars shimmered over the land of Canaan, whispering secrets of ages past. Beneath the vast heavens, a woman sat in her tent, her fingers tracing invisible patterns in the fabric of time. Her name was Sarah, the wife of Abraham, chosen by God to be the mother of nations. Yet years had passed, and her womb remained barren. God had spoken to Abraham, promising him descendants as numerous as the stars. Look now toward heaven, and tell the stars, if thou be able to number them. And he said unto him, So shall thy seed be. Genesis 15:5. But Sarah, now aged, doubted. Her faith was tested by time. Could the promise still come to pass? In desperation, she devised a plan. She turned to Hagar, her Egyptian maidservant, and proposed what seemed the only way forward. Hagar obeyed, and soon she carried Abraham's child. But as her belly swelled, so did her pride. She no longer looked upon Sarah with deference. A bitter rivalry was born. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes. Genesis 16:4. Sarah, feeling wounded, lashed out. She turned to Abraham, demanding justice. With his reluctant permission, she treated Hagar harshly until the young woman could bear it no more. She fled into the wilderness, her heart heavy with pain and uncertainty. In the desolation of the wilderness, by a bubbling spring, an angel appeared to Hagar. His voice was like the whisper of the wind, yet filled with power. Hagar, Sarai's maid, whence camest thou, and whither wilt thou go? Genesis 16:8. Trembling, she answered, and the angel comforted her. Return to thy mistress, and submit thyself under her hands, and I will multiply thy seed exceedingly, that it shall not be numbered for multitude. Genesis 16:9-10. Hagar's eyes widened. A promise, one for her and her son. He would be called Ishmael. God hears. Years passed. Then, against all odds, Sarah bore a son, Isaac, the child of promise. And the Lord visited Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did unto Sarah as he had spoken. Genesis 21:1. Laughter filled the tent, for Sarah declared, God hath made me to laugh, so that all that hear will laugh with me. Genesis 21:6. But joy turned to jealousy. Ishmael, now a young boy, played with Isaac. Sarah's eyes darkened. Fear whispered that her son's inheritance was at stake. She turned to Abraham and demanded that Hagar and Ishmael be sent away. Reluctantly, Abraham sent them away with only a little bread and water. The desert sun was merciless. As the last drop was gone, Hagar collapsed, placing Ishmael under a bush to shield him. She could not bear to watch him die, and she went and sat her down over against him a good way off, for she said, Let me not see the death of the child. Genesis 21:16. But then, a voice, an angel again. Fear not, for God hath heard the voice of the lad where he is. Genesis 21:17. Her eyes were opened, and before her was a well of water. She rushed to Ishmael, lifting him up, giving him life once more. Ishmael grew, became a mighty archer, and dwelled in the wilderness. He would father a great nation, just as God had promised. Meanwhile, Isaac would carry forth the covenant, destined to be the forefather of Israel. The story of Sarah and Hagar is one of struggle, divine providence, and the consequences of human impatience. It teaches us, Sarah and Abraham tried to force God's promise into existence, but his plan unfolded in his time. Hagar, a servant, an outcast, was not forgotten. God heard her cries and provided for her and her son. Sarah's insecurities caused pain, yet even in the chaos, God's will prevailed. Though Isaac was the child of promise, God did not abandon Ishmael. He, too, was blessed. The tale of Sarah and Hagar is more than a historical account. It is a mirror reflecting human nature. It reveals the beauty of faith, the pain of doubt, and the unfailing mercy of God. Even when we falter, He sees, He hears, and He provides. What promise do you wait for? And will you trust in His perfect time?